Yep. The Seeds of Popularity. Tepeke is eager to share new developments in the search for the Justiciar. Brilliant! I hope you have been well. Since last we spoke, the Justiciar has been busy felling fiends across Thavnair, leaving a trail of witnesses behind in his wake. More than a few have reported seeing stones falling from the sky, which all but confirms our theory that the treasure is causing the phenomenon. The stories share one more peculiar commonality. It seems the pests he hunts have all been some seedkin variety. Why he avoids beasts of flesh and blood is yet a mystery. It bears mentioning that each of these eyewitness accounts came from people who were rescued by the Justiciar, who invariably appear just as these creatures attack. In fact, the Justiciar has been there to save the day in every single instance of seedkin-related mischief. Awfully suspicious, if you ask me, and I'm not the only one who thinks so. Some among the Radiant host have suggested that the Justiciar is planning these assaults somehow, so he alone can reap the glory from thwarting them. I agree, and think this should be our next avenue of investigation. Many of these incidents occurred near the Giant Skull grounds, so we should start our search there. If we can find out these monstrous plants before it finds hapless prey, we may be able to shed light upon the Justiciar's methods. Time is of the essence, so let's leave at once. Okay, sounds good to me. I believe Giant Skull ground is up here. Yes. Okay, closest will probably be Palaka's stand. So, my question is, what is his actual motivation? Is he gonna be like the Ishgard one, where he wants to, like, take down the current authority? Or, like, was he not saved by them and now he's, frustrated and annoyed, or something like that? Okay, should be right over here. Oh, I passed it. There she is. Any moving bushes, slithering vines? Not here. In any case, brilliant. I'll search the western path. Why don't you search the east? Okay. Even though I just came from there. If you see something, don't strike to kill. Weaken it, then capture it with this rope. We'll learn much more from a live specimen. Let's talk to her first. If you see any moving thing sprouting leaves, flowers, or the like, capture it with the rope and bring it here. Sounds good to me. Let's fly over to the convenient quest marker. Or is this going to be another vague circle? Nope, convenient quest marker. Ah yes, another purple circle of doom. And I'll just press every button because I have no idea what any of them do. Yeah, just pressing every button, I don't actually know what they do. Like, I remember what some of these do, but they light up differently and stuff, so... Anyway, got my seedling. Is he gonna follow us? Nope. Okay, let's head back to Tepeke. I see plenty of fawning roaming around, but the flora seem to be rooted to the ground variety. Perhaps my hunch was incorrect. Nope, I got one here. Right here. Definitely not. I definitely didn't get it from Vale. You found one. In fact, this is exactly as an eyewitness described. Why don't you keep it for the time being? Bring it to the Great Work. I'll ask my acquaintance there to examine it with all haste. Alright, let's teleport over to the Great Walk. Learn about this Morble. Looks like they're in here. Ah, there's Tepeke. I'm talking to her first. The alchemist and I spoke briefly the last time I was here. Give her the little seedkin you caught, and we'll see what she makes of it. Mistress Tepeke told me what to expect. Well then, let's see the thing. Here it is. This appears to be from Vale. No. Oh, I didn't expect it to be so diminutive. If Mr. Tepeke's intuition is correct, then I expect some interesting discoveries are in store. Alright, let's see what this thing really is. You've brought me quite the fascinating specimen indeed. I can say for certain that this creature's growth isn't natural in the slightest. Biologically, it's still but a sapling, as you can tell by its size. Yet it is the result of a specific alchemical mixture which is used to spur the growth of seeds and mycelium to an unnatural degree. So is he growing them? The agents have a side effect of making the creature more aggressive, which explains why such a small specimen would so boldly attack beings larger than itself. Interesting, okay? Yet the solution requires ingredients most rare, and the cost of producing enough to synthesize it would be beyond the means of most. So whoever's behind this, they are likely well-heeled. As for the creature themselves, if they were all grown artificially, perhaps that explains why most of the incidents involved small seedkin. Rather than wait for them to mature naturally, the Justiciar must have accelerated their growth so that he could deploy huge numbers over a short span of time. In fact, his plan likely requires they be small, weak foes in order to guarantee his victory. After all, the great Justiciar can hardly be expected to bear the blemish of defeat. With these new details brought to light, it's almost certain he's staging these attacks on the common folk. Now we have a new perspective to guide our search. Perhaps you should return to Yedlamod. I hear the Justiciar is the talk of the village, and they doubtless have stories to share. Ah yes, let's go question the locals again. A splendid idea. Thank you. Your findings have brought us a step closer to unmasking that villain. Let's hurry to Yedlamod. The more accounts we have of the Justiciar, the better our chances of predicting his next move. Okay. I'll go ahead and teleport on over there. I only hope that my analysis aids you in finding the answers you seek. Oh boy, it sure has. That's not the right menu. Let's teleport back to Yedlamod and question the locals. Alert Radiant. Rest assured, the Radiant hosts are well aware of the Justiciar. Every day we receive more reports of him combating beasts in the surrounding wilderness. These encounters are never on well-traveled roads, it seems. They occur in remote regions that we scarcely patrol, along routes that are only used by a small number of merchants and porters. We concluded that the Justiciar either has uncommon knowledge of the behavioral patterns of these creatures, or that he keeps close company with a merchant who travels those obscure paths. Right. It's probably neither of those. Let's head over to the second person. Enthused Youth. Oh, you're hungry to learn more about the Justiciar? He's amazing! I was lucky enough to catch a glimpse of him on the road leading here, facing down a fearsome creature. I don't know how he did it, but he called down rocks from the sky to knock that thing flat. The Radiant hosts were away on a patrol, so if he hadn't come to our rescue, that brute would have marched right into our homes. Sure. He shouted that he was the savior of Radz-at-Han, and even waved at me. Oh, he looked so impressive with the sun shining behind him. Well, that means you didn't get a good look at anything. Anyway, here's the last person. Watchful Man. Eh? Don't tell me you're coming chasing after that half-baked savior. The younglings might be taken in by his honeyed words, but anyone with experience can see that he's nothing but a charlatan, and I have a story to prove it. A merchant I know took a tumble as he was transporting his goods. Not long after comes the Justiciar, looking chivalrous as you please in his shining armor. But did he offer a helping hand? No, he ran off with nary a glance backwards. He may go on about slaying beasts, but a real hero would never ignore someone in need, even if they were suffering from a scraped knee and a bruised ego. Well, he doesn't sound like much of a hero to me. Anyway, let's head back to Tepeke and tell her what we found. Did you find anything useful, or am I doing all the work again? Well, I guess that's par for the course. Brilliant! Do you have a moment? I'm having a little trouble here. I sought this merchant out because I was told he dealt with the alchemists in the Great Work. I thought he might know something about the Justiciar, but when I asked, he's been like this ever since. I apologize. I was just surprised that you would ask about that, madam. What connection could you possibly have with me? Well, you're acting mighty suspicious, sir. The fiends he fights are grown with rare alchemical materials, and we think he may be staging these encounters. Since you deal in such wares, I wondered if you might know how he came into their possession. I don't know what you're saying about I've never spoke with the man. I very much doubt that. Perhaps he'll be more receptive to questioning from you, Brilliant. Oh yes, I'll make him talk, don't worry about it. Might want to close your eyes, though. He seems to have intimate knowledge of trade routes and alchemy. Who taught him, I wonder? Spit it out, you're working with him. Let's just go with direct approach. You dare accuse me? Why? How am I to know you aren't the one in league with the visitor? Okay. This is the level of comic stupidity that I was expecting from the other quests. The other ones were a little too serious. For Radz-at-Han, you say? Who is that, may I ask? Huh? What? Did I? No, that's my name. Doubt. I'm gonna press X a couple times. I'd be a fool to continue this charade any longer. My son Radz-at-Han is the one you know as the Justiciar. To be suddenly confronted with his litany of misdeeds, I quite lost my composure. You're his father? Then do you know how he came into possession of such rare materials and knowledge? He probably taught him. Aye, he stole them from me. Okay, that's a little more answer than I should have expected. My most valuable materials and my precious maps. Yet I was the one who chose to hide that fact, and I bear the blame for my consequences. What can you tell us about him as a person? Well, he's a little shitty brat. Radz-at-Han was obsessed with tales of legendary heroes. Well, that kind of explains a lot. Even from a young age, I paid a great deal of money to have him tutored in the art of the bow, and yet he doesn't use it at all. He became quite skilled at it, in fact, but not quite as skilled as his arrogance led him to believe. Due to this, and perhaps lack of ambition, he never aspired to true greatness. Instead, he came to rely upon fanciful equipment and exotic potions, rather than honing what skill he had. It pained me to see him fall into dissoluteness, but he would brook no counsel. So, several years ago, I came with enough coin to support his lavish lifestyle and told him never to speak with me again. He didn't, until recently, when he darkened my doorstep once more. And that was when he stole your goods? I would have willingly given them to him if he had but asked. He was rambling almost incoherently, saying that his heroic deeds as the Justiciar had caught the eyes of someone named Apiai, leader of the Passage of the Unbound, whoever they are. He claimed that under the guidance of his newfound allies, he had obtained a great power, Power enough to eclipse all heroes who have come before and shall come after, as he put it. It seems he gives that money he still has to these people. To think that for all his fanciful words, he was only deigned to grasp at hollow glory, all at the expense of Radz-at-Han. There's no greater shame as a father. Given what we know of this shadowy group, they most likely aim to sow discontent through Virazon's deeds. He may be so blinded by his own desires for adoration that he can't see whose hands are pulling the strings. That wouldn't surprise me at all. You're saying that he's being used? If that's true, then I can no longer remain silent. Despite what shame it may bring, I see now that sharing my story might be the only way to save my son. Indeed. I suggest you tell the Radiant Host at once. Of course, we'll be pouring our every effort into stopping him. Thank you for giving me direction. I didn't imagine our meeting would end this way. Truth be told, I'm not entirely unsympathetic toward Virazon. I basked in my father's reflected glory, while having none of my own to speak of. The glory Virazon seeks is similarly false. I too shall visit the Radiant Host and have them spread word of the Justiciar's true nature. If the people are wise to his trickery, they will be far more likely to aid us. He'll soon learn that a legend built on lies is no match for true heroism. And who's the hero here? Because it better be me.